Presidential elections is our topic for today. So we're going to be taking a look at sort of the whole process very broadly, not getting into tremendous specifics. So it's important that you read through Chapter 10, specifically sections 3 and 4, in order to have a more well-rounded understanding of the specific details. But these notes will at least give you a broad understanding of what goes on in presidential elections. So the first step is getting nominated. So we're going to talk a little bit about the nomination process. Each party, Republicans and Democrats, and third parties, but mostly here we're talking about Republicans and Democrats, have their own process for choosing their nominee. Every state is going to have its slightly different way of doing things as well. Okay, so every state has primary elections, and they can be a little bit different from one state to the next. It's important to understand that at the outset, this is typically a good 2-year process. There's going to be a lot of Republicans who are interested in running for president. There's going to be a lot of Democrats. Okay, and just because you want to run doesn't mean you're going to be the person who is up for election. The parties are going to whittle it down so that they have one Republican nominee and one Democratic nominee. For each party, the Republicans and the Democrats, the states, every state in the country is going to select delegates to go to the national convention. And most states select those delegates by running what are called primary elections. So the primary elections are the elections to figure out who's going to be the nominee. To win the support, or to get the support that you need in order to win the nomination, you need organization. You need campaign offices, right? And people who are going to help you run the campaign. You need a strategy to figure out how are you going to get your message out? Who are you going to target? And of course, you need a lot of money. At the national convention, at the end of the road, you're going to end up with one Republican and one Democrat left standing. And they are going to be officially nominated at the national convention. Each political party will choose its nominee for president and vice president, and each party writes what's called a party platform, which tells what the party believes in. Okay, so basically, here's what we're standing on. These are the issues that we're going to campaign on. And so the picture here shows the 2012 Republican National Convention. And, typically this is the scene you think of, right? The candidates are up on the stage. You've got lots of people cheering, balloons flying around. Everybody's got funny hats and is wearing holding up signs and all kinds of things like that. So I'm going to show you a quick little video clip from that same convention, the 2012 Republican National Convention, where Mitt Romney was officially selected as the Republican nominee.
Mr. Chairman and delegates, I accept your nomination for President of the United States. I do so with humility, deeply moved by the trust you place in me. It's a great honor. It's an even greater responsibility. And tonight I'm asking you to join me to walk together to a better future. And by my side, I've chosen a man with a big heart from a small town. He represents the best of America, a man who will always make us very proud. My friend and America's next Vice President, Paul Ryan.
So just a short little clip there from Mitt Romney's acceptance speech, right? Saying, okay, I finished first in the primaries and I officially accept the nomination for president. And Paul Ryan is who he chose at the convention to be his vice presidential nominee. So that brings us up to the nomination. Okay, that's the first step. The second step is getting elected. And it's important to understand the election is not decided directly by the voters. The election is decided by the Electoral College. And we'll talk a little bit about how that works, but we're not going to worry about it too much. But you see the picture here. This shows the 2012 election, how the electoral map turned out. So the states in red voted for Mitt Romney. The states in blue voted for President Obama. And how it works in almost every single state is it's like 50 miniature elections. Okay, if you win the state of Virginia, then all of Virginia's electors go towards your total. And you have to win the majority of the Electoral College, which is 270. During the general election, candidates typically focus their attention on the states that they think they can win and the states that are what are called battleground states. These are toss-up states. They could go either way. All right? So if we take, for example, a state like Mississippi, it's a very Republican state. Barack Obama isn't going to spend much time campaigning in Mississippi because he knows he doesn't have much of a chance there. Same way Mitt Romney's not going to spend a lot of time in a state like New Hampshire or Vermont, which are fairly liberal states. Both candidates are going to focus really closely on battleground states. Virginia is a battleground state, right? Could go either way. Ohio, Florida. These are battleground states that could go either way. To get elected to the presidency, you have to appeal to a broad range of voters. You have to do what politicians call moving to the middle. And that's often not how you get nominated. You get nominated by firing up your base, right? You want to get the hardcore Republicans or the hardcore Democrats to get excited about you and come support you in the primaries. But in the general election, you have to move to the middle and focus on those undecided voters and independents who aren't really strongly attached to one side or the other. Campaign finance is another issue that we need to talk about, okay? Because as we've discussed, at every stage of the campaign, from the second you announce you're going to run all the way through to the final election, you've got to raise a lot of money. Campaigns cost a lot. Pays for TV and radio ads, a web page, hiring your staff, renting out campaign offices, signs, bumper stickers, renting out places for campaign events like speeches and rallies. All of this costs a lot of money. And when you're talking about a national election, you're setting up offices in 50 different states, which leads to a problem in a lot of people's minds, which is that campaigns are so expensive that it gets harder and harder for people to run. Okay, so you might have some people who are really good candidates and they decide not to run because they don't have a lot of money or they don't have the connections with rich friends in order to have the money to run a campaign. Another issue that pops up has to do with when people do contribute a lot of money to a campaign, they sometimes expect to have a lot of influence, right? So, hey, I'll give your campaign $1 million, and if you win, I expect you to take my phone call when I need something, right? And a lot of people see that as a real problem in American politics. Last topic we're going to discuss is who votes, okay? Because, quite frankly, candidates are going to focus their attention on the people who vote. So, defining characteristics. Typically, voters, the average voters, are people who are over the age of 30, who are college educated, and who are in the middle or upper class. Okay? over the age of 30, college-educated, middle and upper-class citizens. Again, that doesn't mean that everybody falls into that category, but those are the groups that tend to vote the most, and so those are the folks that candidates are going to focus their attention on.